The story begins with an injured girl named Lynn who is getting chased down by a pack of ugly monsters. While running away, she wonders if her little brother managed to secure a beast core. But before she can think about anything else, one of the monsters jumps and knocks her down. After that, they all surround her, and it looks like she will turn into their dinner tonight. But just before one of them can bite her, a spear flies towards them and scares the monsters back. Soon, we see a group of warriors arrive on the scene while riding giant wolves. Their leader, Wulong, tells the vice commander to let him handle it and proceeds to cast a powerful ice spell. Everyone watches the young leader in awe as he starts flying and farms some main character aura before one-shotting all the ugly monsters like Jinnu. Later that night, we see the young leader dreaming about a beautiful woman who tells him that from now on they are husband and wife. But before Wulong can ask something else, he wakes up with his vice commander's fat face right in front of him. He tells Wulong that the young woman that they saved is waiting for him and asks if they should feed her to the cubs or something. But Wulong asks if he is crazy and they march out to see her. On the other hand, Lin looks around the leader's decorated house and thinks that he must be really rich. Just then, Wulong walks in and sits on his throne and takes a look at the girl. He thinks that she looks really beautiful and orders a cozy chair for her to sit on while she thinks the same about him as well. Wulong asks her if she has met her younger brother and sister. Lin says that she has and thanks him for saving their lives. But Wulong asks what they were doing in the northern wilderness while being as weak as Jake Paul. Lin explains that they were looking for the beast core of the rumored bird monster called the White Hawfinch to cure their sect bleeder's illness. Wong says that he has a lot of these cores and can spare one for her, but it won't be free. He says that one of them will have to stay here and serve him for 6 years and the other two can leave with the core. Lin thinks about it for a moment and says that she will stay behind to repay his kindness. Wong smiles and says that her siblings felt the same way and orders his vice commander to send the younger siblings back south on a ship with the core. He also thinks that Lin is really naive but kind at the same time and decides to teach her a lesson or two. After that, Wong says that his name is Cheng Ba, but he has adopted a Taoist name called Wong and asks about hers. Lin says that she's pretty ordinary and reveals that she became a member of the Wind Moon sect since she was a child and has been practicing under her master Zordang for over 30 years now. But Wong cuts her off by saying that it's just a small no-name sect with no talent and a mere age of 40. Lin speaks up and says that her master said that a student at the core condensation stage can live 1,000 years. But Wong cuts her off once again by saying that he knows that spiritual and physical cultivation are the main types that people focus on in the human realm. He says that her blood kai is really weak, so she chose the spiritual path, but she can't even fly yet, showing that she's even below the golden core stage. Hearing all this, Lin shyly looks down and admits that she's just a beginner at the origin returning stage, which makes Wulong sigh and call her weak once again. This makes Lin really mad, and she asks if she's really that pathetic. She starts going on about her sad achievements by saying that she practiced alchemy for 10 years, but still blows up the furnace like a noob. Her talents are even below a fresh student, and she doesn't even know how to act cute to her master. After saying all this, she starts crying like a true loser and falls on her knees, calling out to her mom, saying she should have listened to her and married in the mortal realm. Seeing her like this, Wulong starts panicking and tries to console her. He tells his vice commander to do something about it, who throws the duty down to a guard who says that he's already married and Lin doesn't have any assets to go after. This makes her want to meet Jesus in the other world, and her dumb soul comes out of her mouth. Wulong gets up and tells her that everyone has lows in their lives and she isn't really all that bad. He says that he can't guarantee if she will get any better, but as long as she serves him properly, no one will be able to look down on her. The vice commander also joins in and says that the Wulong is the youngest senior star priest in the northern wilderness and serving him will mean a bright future. Hearing this, Lin gets up excitedly, but Wulong tells her to keep her distance and they all walk off to his room. Once there, Lin asks Wulong if they have to do it right in front of everyone and wonders if it's some weird ritual in their tribe before jumping in his bed like the dumb and eager fish she is. Wulong asks what she was doing and tells her to first try touching his hand. But when Lin does it, it sends a massive shock through his body and knocks him down. Later that day, we see Wulong sitting outside his house and watching the beauties waving back at him from down below. He resolves to find a cure for his weird illness one way or another. But then Lin comes and sits down beside him and asks if he is fine. Wulong asks her to not talk about it and calls his men to set up a cozy chair and some sweets with a snap of his fingers. After that, he tells Lin that he wants to go to the human realm when the time is right and he will reward her whenever she spends time with him. She will have to tell him everything about the human realm and their cultivation methods. After that, he calls her by saying, "Hey," and says that she must know a lot about human cultivation, having spent decades practicing. Lin pouts saying her name isn't Hey, but when when Wu Wang asks her if she said something, she says that little He will tell him everything he needs to know about their cultivation. After that, Lin walks inside with Wu Wang, who asks her a bunch of questions about human cultivation methods and starts practicing with her. He overwhelms her with his insane talent to learn everything quickly and his smart questions that are too much for her tiny bird brain. After learning everything from her, he tells her to put him to sleep by touching his hand and asks her to wake him up by noon the next day. After he goes to sleep, Lin starts reading all the scrolls about human cultivation so she can answer Wu Wang's questions properly, but ends up falling asleep herself. The next day, Wang wakes her up and teases her by saying that little He is a real slacker. But then his body starts absorbing spiritual energy, and this makes Lin really surprised. But then his body starts acting up and he coughs some blood and stops. He wonders if his star summoning techniques are not compatible with the human cultivation techniques and starts regulating his breath to reset the flow of Kai in his body. As he closes his eyes, he hears his mom's voice who's talking to him using telepathy from the Star Temple. She asks him why he's trying to learn human cultivation techniques, and Wang replies that it will help prolong his life and it might help cure his illness. His mother warns him that one's life is decided by fate and the Starry Lords won't like him interfering with it. But then she says that she regrets not being able to cure his illness and lets him continue his training. She gives him an artifact which will keep him hidden from the Starry Lord's eye and tells him to be careful in his training. After that, Wulong comes back to his senses and tells Lin that they will go out and take his grandma on a walk. His grandma turns out to be a pretty chill lady, and she tells him that his father is still busy tending to some affairs with the long-haired tribe. After that, she says that usually the first trial for a new chief is to fight a 300-year-old thornback beast, but his father has sent for a 1,000-year-old one for his first trial. Wang says that he is doing it for his own good, and the old granny says that she's glad that he understands that. She tells him that she told some of the men to secretly injure the beast, so it will be easy for him because he's her only grandson and she cares for him. She also asks Wu Wang about his illness and if the woman he got from the human realm made any difference. Wu Wang says that it didn't, but promises her to find a cure for it and fulfill their deal of giving her lots of great-grandkids. The next day, Wu Wang dresses up for his first trial as the new chief and heads out to fight the thornback beast. After riding into the stadium, they both start running towards each other for a clash. But just before they can strike each other, a shooting star lands near them, and it turns out to be a massive mammoth-like monster that his grandma calls the blessing of the Starry Lords. On the other hand, we see Wang's mom, Lady King Su, about to walk out of her temple to help her family, but one of her fellow senior sun priests stops her and says that she must not interfere as it is the rule of the Northern Wilderness. All the other priests also ask her to be patient as it's their job to maintain a balance between all the clans in the Northern Wilderness. Back at the Bear Hug tribe, the Star Blessing monster lets out a volcanic roar and stomps the ground, which makes lava erupt from under its foot. Seeing the ugly monster, Lin starts sweating her pants and realizes that it's a man-eating beast from the ancient books called Zhuai. She says that a monster of this size must be tens of thousands of years old and wonders why it's here, as the immortals slayed all of them in the human realm long ago. Just then, the monster unleashes a volcanic meteor strike and sets the village on fire. Everyone is really scared, but then they see Wu Wang preparing a massive ice spell in the sky to fight the monster. He tells the vice commander to evacuate everyone and strikes the monster with the massive ice chunk, but it barely does any damage to the massive behemoth. This makes him really shocked, but instead of running away, he decides to face the monster head-on and shoots it with the freezing gale jutsu. But instead of fighting back, the monster simply focuses on the evacuating people, and this makes Wu Wang even more mad. He flies up and decides to unleash his strongest attack and starts creating a massive icy spear. Meanwhile, Lin notices a bunch of lunatics praying to the Star Lady in the middle of the burning village. She asks what they were doing while their chief was risking his life for them. They tell her that it's a blessing from the Star Lady and they must show their appreciation to her. Lin wonders if they are really as dumb as they look, but then Wang's grandma comes to her and introduces herself as the former chief priest of their tribe. She asks her to sneak her to the front line because the other priests won't let her go. But she's the only one who can stop that monster and she wants to help her grandson. Lin agrees and starts wheeling the old lady towards the massive monster. On the other hand, Wu Wang is reaching his limit and struggles to create the massive ice spear. But then he thinks about his great ancestor Chuck Norris and decides to man up for the job. He looks at the monster and thinks if he throws the massive ice spear at it from such height, it will melt before hitting it and will only give the monster a massive shower. But then he decides to combine the wind and ice, starts summoning techniques, and uses wind to create an insulating layer around the ice spear. He then throws the massive spear at the monster with the last of his strength while Lin drops his grandma off in front of the monster. The old lady tells Lin to tell Wu Wang that she doesn't want him to burden himself with her loss and that the Northern Wilderness is too small a place for his great talents. After that, she uses her opie old granny technique and traps the monster with some earth magic. This allows Wu Wang's spell to hit the monster dead center, and they successfully successfully managed to bury the monster in thick ice and earth elements. Later that night, Wulong holds a funeral for his late grandma, and Lin tells him about her last words. Hearing them, Wulong runs out and flies off to the monster's location and feels frustrated with his lack of power. Just then he hears his mom's voice and goes to meet her in the spiritual realm. She tells him that as the Sun Priest, she would have done the same if it was another tribe as well, so she had to stand her ground this time as well. After that, she asks him if he was hurt. Wulong says that he's fine, but Grandma couldn't make it. He asks her about the start blessing and what did it mean. Hearing this, his mom decides that it's time to tell him the truth and explains that in the ancient battle of the Lords, the heavenly palace of the Star Lady was winning and the Northern Wilderness was her trophy for winning, and that's why lords from the other 8 wilderness can't invade their region. After the war, the Star Lady went asleep to recover her injuries from the battle, but she feared that someone stronger than her would appear while she's resting, and so she created the 7 Sun Priests and passed down the star summoning techniques to them to control the entire Northern Wilderness. Whenever the Star Ladies will notices one of the tribes in the Northern Wilderness growing strong enough to overthrow the balance of power, she sends down the monster that's made from her hair to destroy them. Hearing this, Wong asks if it's to maintain the balance of power. Will it trigger if all the tribes grow stronger at once? His mom says that she can't say for certain and then advises her son to not go against the will of the Star Lady as he isn't remotely strong enough to challenge her. With that, Wong returns to the physical realm and says that as it's the blessing of the Star Lady, he must accept it. After that, he returns to the village to attend the funeral for the fallen members, revealing that 1,200 people died while over 3 on 500 people got injured by the monster. He says that these numbers would have been far greater if it weren't for his grandma's sacrifice. The other priests try to console him by saying that it's not his fault and that this was a blessing from the Star Lady. Hearing this, Wong turns around and asks them if they have ever wondered why the star blessing occurs every 100 years and always targets the strongest tribe in the northern region. He then makes up a fancy story about the star blessing and tells them that the Star Lady loves everyone in the northern wilderness, and that's why she sends down the weakest of her monsters to test the strongest of this region. But for hundreds of years, they have all been falling short of her expectations, and no one has ever managed to slay the monster. He says that this time they will show her that they are worthy of her blessing and overcome this challenge, and riles everyone up by adding that he learned all this from his grandma's final moments of enlightenment. Later that night, Lin walks into Wulong's tent and says that his speech made a real impact as everyone was excited to take down the monster. Wulong smiles and gives a letter to the vice commander and tells him to deliver it to his father and to tell him to gather those powerful clans that have senior Sun Priests and to tell them that as long as they are willing to send their strongest troops to help the bear hug. After that, he puts his dagger into the map and says that he doesn't care whatever kind of blessing it is. Back in the Star Lady's temple, we see Wulong's mom pushing the other Sun Priests back and preparing to go down to help her son. But then one of the priests suddenly grows really strong and casts a binding spell on her. Everyone wonders how she grew so much stronger, but Kwongo breaks the spell and says that the Star Lady's half asleep will has taken over the other priest's body. She then tells her that in this life she has chosen to worship the Star Lady, but she cares about her family more and freezes the priest with her star summoning technique. After that, she tells everyone that from now on they will side with the Northern Wilderness and provide them with their full support. The next day, we see the Bear Hug tribe's leader Xing Han telling the gathered soldiers from the other tribes that his son Wulong will be leading this battle. Wulong thanks everyone and explains the situation before leading them out to fight the stun beast. Xing Han jumps right away and tries to strike the beast's head, but it summons a meteor and shoots him down like a fly. After that, the Big Wave clan's leader jumps in to show off his power, but gets shot down similarly, making Xing laugh. After that, they both jump together to attack the monster like the meat brains that they are. While Wulong watches them from above and face palms, he says that they must do as much damage as they can in this initial attack to make the beast want to attack back at them. At the same time, he starts preparing a sealing spell and casts it down at the beast as soon as it prepares its massive fire attack. The sealing spell makes the fire spell bounce back at the beast, and Wong uses this opportunity to jump down and orders his men to shoot the monster down with empowered arrows. They rain down volley after volley of the massive crossbow arrows and ultimately succeed in taking the monster down. Later that night, everyone gathers to celebrate their victory and to pay respect to Wulong's late grandma as well. Here, Wulong meets the dumb son of the Big Wave clan's leader, Xing and his macho younger sister, who's totally heads over heels gooning for Wulong at first sight. Suddenly, one of Wulong's men walks in and reports that something strange has happened to the monster's body and says that the chief is asking for him to come see it. Wong rushes to the scene and walks down to see the monster's corpse with his father. It turns out the beast's body has turned into a mine of starstone, which is one of the most precious resources in the northern wilderness. The chief shows him a large lump that they just mined out and says that this alone would be enough to feed their tribe for a whole year. Wulong thinks about it for a bit and wonders if the story that he made up about the Star Lady's blessing being an actual blessing was really true. After thinking about his discussion with his mother from earlier, he tells his father to seal all the information about this from spreading and asks him to bury the place for now with guards stationed to watch over it. His father smiles and says that Wang is smart just like his mother and walks back with him, saying that he will do just as he says. Back in his room, Wang talks to Lin about this discovery while she is bathing. She asks him if they managed to create an effective hunting mechanism. Wouldn't they be able to exploit this star blessing thing like a tea-loving British gentleman? She also wonders if the beast is made up of Star Lady's hair. Then what if they get a lot of blessings and she wakes up with a bald head? Just then, Wang tells her to stay quiet as the vice commander walks in and sits down to enjoy a drink with the young master. The chubby vice commander informs the young master that the other tribes have received the promised reward of crossbows for their help, but shows concern, asking why they gave such important stuff out as if they were on a Black Friday sale. The young master replies to him that kids like him won't get the logic, and then learns about the border conflict of the long-haired tribe. The big guy jumps up, fuming about how the tribe was really after their crossbows and itches to teach them a lesson. Wang talks him down with some peace talk, but then the vice commander drops another bomb, saying that the priests have orders to join some Star Lady sect and worries that the sect might overpower them. Wang stays cool and says that he's got it handled. The vice commander heads off, teasing that Wang's father has a surprise for him at the banquet, but refuses to spill the beans, indicating some fishy business. As Wang turns around, he gets taken aback by Lin's beautiful figure, who offers him an advanced technique of demonic path, which she got from the market. The young master quickly gets thrilled, but asks the lady about how much she spent on it. Lin brings up how the salesperson pitched the product, which prompts the young man to take a quick peek. But he shuts the book quickly as soon as he sees what's inside, because it turns out the overly innocent girl unknowingly bought a book on successful marriage techniques instead. Wang steps out of the palace, teasing if she is that eager to get married. Realizing what she has done, her face burns red as she slams her head against the wall, making the whole house tremble. Wang heads to the ceremony where the vice commander and another man sing his praises in front of his father. The chief has a proud fatherly moment before the conversation shifts to a more serious matter. They discuss how Wang needs treatment for his condition since he is about to turn 18. Concerns rise over the possibility that he might not wake up the day after his marriage. As they go over the various problems that could arise if the young master fails to produce an heir, Daddy stands up bragging about how he found so many girls for his son, something even his own late father never did. While throwing shade at his wife before he can finish, he's instantly frozen in ice. Realizing that Lady Kong Su is standing right behind him, Wang gets annoyed and wonders how he ended up with a father like him, and then turns to convince his mother to let him go. She sighs but releases him with a warning to go easy on her son. The chief presents a lineup of exotic and monstrous girls from the slave market. Wang isn't interested, but after his father's insistence, he reluctantly reaches out, hoping destiny has finally chosen him a bride, only to be met with disappointment. He tries again and again, each failure testing his patience. Just as he is about to give up, his eyes fall on an unnamed woman from Yushiki's state of witchcraft. Without hesitation, he tells his mother to keep her as a slave and discard the rest. As the scene shifts, the slave girl, who is actually a puppet controlled by an assassin, is having some murderous intention and wants to seize the opportunity, but her luck runs out as Lin butts in looking for the new slave girl. Wang apparently knows something about her and orders Lin to take her in for the night. Lin takes the slave to her room and offers her a bath. The assassin gets annoyed at being treated like a child and wonders what a girl from the human realm is doing here. Suddenly, Lin casts a glowing blue formation, making the assassin suspicious. Lin casually explains that it's just for soundproofing, then asks if Yoshiki has many witches and whether she knows any sinister techniques that turn humans into mindless puppets. The assassin grows uneasy, confused about whether her cover has already been blown. Just then, Lin notices a mark on the back of her neck and asks about it, but quickly changes the topic, turning around to let her bathe. The assassin once again suspects a trap. As Lin walks off to grab a book, the assassin worries she might have discovered the snake immortal seal. The puppeteer assassin realizes that the young master has uncovered their plot and quickly gathers her men hiding in the forest, preparing to flee while they still can. She sends her puppet to attack Lin and catches her off guard. Lin tries to reach for her blade, but the mind-controlled puppet knocks it away and prepares to attack her. Just as Lin is about to get hurt, Wang appears and freezes the slave with a flick of his hand and mocks her for being so weak despite being at the mid-core condensation stage. Lin gets mad at him and says that he knew about this from the start, and Wang explains that he used Lin's innocence to expose the assassin behind the slave. He then uses a glowing sphere to cast a star summoning spell that brings forth a bow-wielding spirit lady. She shoots a volley of freezing arrows at the escaping assassins, and the next thing we know, the creepy bounty assassins are captured and their leader is being presented in front of the young master. She resists at first, but when Wang orders her execution, she starts begging for her life and reveals that the assassination was ordered by the long-hair tribe at the West Wilderness Trading Guild and swears to do do anything for him. Hearing this, Wang gets a smug grin and asks, what are these things that she's willing to do? But when she replies with a lewd wink, he orders for her to be taken away and says that he is too righteous for such deeds, adding that even without his illness, he wouldn't stoop so low. Later, he slightly instructs his vice commander to spread false news that his mother captured the witch, not him. He then suggests rallying all the clans to take down the long-haired tribe, promising each an equal share of the territory. As the scene shifts, Wulong once again finds himself trapped in the dream realm, where the same mysterious woman calls him hubby. She hugs him tightly before sinking her teeth into his neck like a vampire, then vanishes with a cryptic remark about not taking much longer. Jolted awake, the young master panics, realizing he is on a carriage heading toward the market. Unease lingers on his face as he wonders if his illness is connected to the dream woman or her curse. Nearing their destination, he orders everyone to stay behind while he surveys the market alone. The vice commander and Lin show concern, but he asks them not to worry. As they arrive near the location, Wulong disguises himself as a smelly commoner. He spills some liquor over himself and asks Lin for some spirit cores before leaving them behind and ordering them to not follow him. Arriving at the market, Wang orders food and drink and then notices a group gathered outside. Among them, a woman named Ling catches his attention, and as their eyes meet, he wonders if she's the same bride from his dream. His food arrives just as a group of human cultivators sits nearby, chatting about visiting the Bear Hug clan. Eavesdropping, he hears them mention a man named Master Zudum, a name that feels oddly familiar. As their loud chatter continues, it dawns on him that Zhuang was once the old master of his little hay. The humans also debate whether the so-called young master, referring to Wulong, is truly despicable, even considering teaching him a lesson. Just then, a man on a floating vehicle flies in, complaining about being left behind. The group completely ignores him, making Wulong wonder if he's some kind of outcast. The flashy man introduces himself as Jimmo and casually takes a seat beside Wang and asks to share his meal. Using telepathy, Jimmo tells him to respond by blinking and offers some money for his cooperation. Playing along, Wang introduces himself as Hudai and quickly realizes that Jimmo is looking for women to have fun with. Before Jimmo can ask further, Wulong abruptly shouts that he can't help him find ladies and exposes the guy's shamelessness for all to hear. Everybody around gets mad and tells Jimmo that he can go look for fun on his own while they take care of their main business. Jimmo says that he won't let his hobbies interfere with their work, but everyone simply walks out and zap away without him. Seeing all this, Wulong also decides to head back to his palace. Meanwhile, the human cultivators, having failed to gain favor with the leader of the Big Wave clan, now set their sights on the Bear Hug clan, hoping for better hospitality. Lin spots her master Zudong and rushes over to hug him, showering him with praise about Wulong for how much he cares for her. One of Zudong, Unk's disciples accuses Wulong of using a love potion on her, but the master dismisses it, remarking that Wulong seems like a gentleman. Wanting to judge his character for themselves, the group decides to visit him. Unbeknownst to them, Wulong is already expecting them, quietly observing their approach as he picks up on one of them acting shady. After that, the guests from the human realm enter Unk's palace. Lady Ling steps in with a flowery effect blooming beneath her feet. Jimmo, the pervert, looks disappointed, finding no native women, while the others whisper about the palace's grandeur and the sheer strength of its guards. They speculate on how fortunate they'd be to have Wulong on their side, but Ling cuts their murmuring short. Meanwhile, the disciple who insulted Wulong is cornered and bullied by the vice commander and a few others. Wang asks his guests why they've come, and Jimmo casually formally explains that they mean no harm or are merely here for friendship. The young master replies, playfully reminds Jimmo how desperately he was searching for women, and catches him off guard. Jimmo recognizes Wulong as Howdy and asks why he was in disguise. Wulong casually replies that he was just playing around and apologizes if it offended him. Ling, surprised by his attitude, sees a different side of him than she expected. The two parties formally introduce themselves, and Jimmo praises Lady Ling as a prodigy of the Heavenly Fairy sect for her rapid achievements. Jimmo then explains their visit, stating they seek refining materials at a discount for their war against the Heavenly Palace. Instead of offering a discount, Wang demands compensation, arguing the North Wilderness is protected by the Star Lady. Ling challenges his authority, but Unk's vice commander affirms he has full control and praises his mother's greatness. Turning the question back, Wulong asks who secretly protects Ling. She denies having a senior, but Jimmo releases an origami, exposing their guardian. As the guests depart, Lin asks Wulong why he refused the offer. He explains that he wants them to pass a test before earning his trust. He also shares his plan to form a mineral consortium to unify mining prices among major clans, though his vice commander seems too stubborn to grasp it. Wulong then asks Lin why her master didn't appear and gives her the choice to leave with him. Lin declines, saying she'll stay for the promised time and that her master wants to meet Wulong personally to thank him. Later, as the vice commander returns from somewhere, he spots a fallen person. Rushing over, he finds Jimmo unconscious and takes him to Wulong. A doctor is called, but instead of treating him, he suspiciously sniffs Jimo's wounds like they're ketchup. Only after Wong scolds him does he finally heal Jimo. As Jimo wakes, Wong questions what happened. The pervert warns that the North Wilderness shouldn't get involved in their fight as it might drag them down. Jimo tells his story, explaining that they ventured into the North Wilderness, a known gathering spot for untamed beasts. Their trial led them into the territory of a 1,000-year-old beast in the Blood Forest. Overestimating their strength, they were ambushed by an ugly toad monster that overwhelmed them. When Lady Ling was in danger, their senior intervened and blasted the beast away. But it was too tough to defeat. In the end, they had to flee. Wong Lin, the one bullied by Wong's soldiers earlier, met a tragic fate, while Jima barely escaped. As Wong steps outside, letting Jimo rest, the pervert sneaks off, planning to return to the human realm. He vows to repay Wu Wong for saving his life, but regrets not meeting the clan's ladies. Before he can leave, Wong catches him and asks for a way to contact his allies, offering help. Embarrassed, Jimo hands over a ring, which turns out to hold a closet full of women's clothes. He awkwardly claims they were gifts. Amused, Wu Wong gives him special leather skirts, convincing him to stay and help his allies. They set off, and along the way, Wu Wong splits up, telling Jimo to find Lady Ling. While he approaches from the side with his vice commander, Jimo rushes to the law.